Hi, thank you for clicking on the video. As you can see, we're going to be jumping into the American Dad universe today. Now, there are going to be spoilers. If you don't like spoilers and for some reason you have never seen American Dad before, jump off of here, go watch American Dad. Then come back here. You gonna be gone for a while because it's like 20 seasons. But if you don't care, we carry on. And in this instance, you probably should just not care. um, there are so many American Dad videos that are coming in the future because there's a lot that I want to talk about. But today we're going to start off kind of simple and talk about one of the many topics of Roger, mainly about how he really is the type of individual who do stuff for the plot and the plot only. And there are so many examples, but there are a couple specific ones I want to talk about today. First, this is like one from like an earlier season, and Roger and Steve think they found the guy who knows where Bin Laden is. And so they're trying to get the information out of him. And Steve finally get to the point he like, Roger, I don't think this man know nothing about Bin Laden. And Roger's like, you right. Okay. And then he look around and was like, you know what, man? I think I'm going to have to rob you. Like, what? What? That's your conclusion? That's what you get to? Okay. But there's this one particular episode that I do want to talk about. So, y'all know, I fully believe, like, y'all don't know this, but I'm telling y'all, I fully believe that Roger will pre-plan some of the stuff that he does, okay? There's this episode where, you know, he's pretending to be one of his best personas, you know, and him and Francine are meeting up for lunch, and he just so happens to meet this woman who he just finds to be so amazing that he questions himself so much so. Mind y'all, before this happened, he shows Francine his warehouse with all his costumes in it. And he programmed, well, we'll get to that. He has this warehouse with all his costumes in it, okay? Now, he see this woman who makes him question his whole identity. He goes to this warehouse and burns it down. And he just so happens to have programmed these robots that work in his warehouse to feel fire. Seems a little pre-planned. Seems a little like he had been peeping this woman already and knew that he was just going to make this a storyline for himself, right? And then proceeds to steal this woman's life. And in Francine, the way that she was handling the situation, you know that Francine just is so used to it. And it reminded me of the episode when he tricked her into going to... So he told Francine they needed to practice for a dance competition. He had her get dressed up in a pink sparkly dress. And they go to a funeral, y'all. And the whole time, he like, Francine, there's something I haven't been quite honest about. And like, that was just for the plot. He didn't have to lie to her. He could have just said, hey, Francine, this old girlfriend of mine had this really beautiful red hair. And I just found out that she died. So you want to come with me to go get her hair? Because Francine is crazy. She gonna be down. Like, if she rock with you, she gonna be down. If Roger had just been straight up with her, she would be like, yeah, let's go get that girl's hair so you can get your wig. Like, she would not have cared because she rocked with Roger. You know what I mean? By the end of that episode, she was not rocking with Roger. She threw him off of a cliff. Which, fair enough. You know what I mean? But, yeah, this man steals this woman's life. And the woman don't care nothing about him stealing the life. She only worried about the fact that he is now taking over her awareness campaign. And she like, I put my heart and soul into that. I don't care about my husband or you wanting to be me, but one thing you're not gonna do is mess with my awareness campaign. It's so funny. Another episode that I want to point out when it comes to oh, that man, he is hilarious to me. But this particular episode, it started out with him and Steve. They bird watching, just bird watching, okay? And then they've come across these men who steal eggs, okay? And then they talk to the lady about the people stealing eggs, and she explains to them about the egg madness. Now, Roger, after hearing about egg madness, all of a sudden has egg madness. I don't believe he ever had egg madness, and here's why. So we see how obsessed that the other people really are about eggs, right? Roger can pretend real easy. So he just saw that, oh, this is funner than bird watching. So I'm gonna do this, right? Like, he was standing next to Steve. They looking in the window like, oh, I can't believe they stealing eggs. And then Steve go to look at him, and he like, I got the egg madness, y'all, and is in the building as a completely different person. And so, it gets to the point of a climax of Steve trying to stop these people from stealing this particular egg from this, very rare bird. And they finna kill Steve. And Steve is Roger's family. Roger sees the Smiths as his family. So he don't let nobody harm them unless it's him. He can harm them, but nobody else can harm them. That's how his brain works. And he literally goes down and gets the egg with ease. And then goes up there with the egg like, yeah, nothing is more important than this egg. Well, almost nothing. Throws the egg down the lane, and all the guys go after the egg. In the midst of that, and that's how I know he didn't have the egg madness, because if you actually had the egg madness, you would only care about the egg, which we see Steve ends up getting the egg madness. His pupils actually turn into little eggs. They crack, and then he's like, I gotta get that egg, and he's only concerned about the egg. That's it. And it's so funny because Roger's still like, oh, well, I can still play this into my plot line because Steve was so close to getting the egg. Mind y'all, Roger got the egg with no problem. He could have got the egg again. But he was like, he tried to help Steve get the egg. Then they saw the bird, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, you know what? It's birds. We gonna be back to birds. It makes sense why Steve go back to wanting to watch birds. But like, Roger never had the egg madness. He just thought it was more fun. And we see that over the course of so many episodes. Those are the top ones I can think about right now. But I'm sure I'm going to think of some more. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. This video is a little bit quicker, thank goodness. I don't be wanting to make extra long videos, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, there's going to be so many more American Dad videos on the way, mostly about Roger, because I have so many different theories I want to talk about with y'all. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. And you know what? Why don't you tell me in the comment one of your favorite Roger moments where it seemed like he was just doing whatever he was doing for the plot. With that being said, I will see you next time. Bye.